So it's election season.
Yep.
You know, you and I pretty much don't want to talk politics. I think we agree.
No,
we agree a lot. Not where anyone can see us or hear us. But I want to go ahead and ask you, where your allegiances lie.
Okay.
Are you Team Iron Man or Team Captain America? You can be honest with me. I'm open. I understand.
Man, you know what? It depends. If I've had a beer, Captain America. I'm Team Cap.
Team Cap?
Is
that because you're honest?
If I've just paid my taxes and I'm in that mode, I'm Team Iron Man.
I'm Team Captain America all the way. And it's not because Captain America's always been my favorite. It's just I feel right is right. Yeah. He's the prick paladin that you love to hate or you hate to love, but you know he's right. He's right. He may not be as smooth as Robert Downey Jr., but
his whole side is summed up by saying benefit of the doubt. And I think everybody should always get the benefit of the doubt.
All right. So that was a bit of a setup. The true question about where your allegiances lie.
Okay.
Team Edward or Team Jake? Jake? It tells you how much I really care.
Jake? I'm a
Team Edward or Team
Jake and the Fat
Jacob.
Man.
Yeah.
I love Jake and the Fat Man.
Jake and the
Fat Man.
Great
show. There was Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the show?
Yeah.
It was a cop show, and there was Jake.
Drama.
Right? There was Jake.
It was Jake, and there was also the Fat Man.
There was also this guy who was the Fat Man, and they worked together to do crime stuff.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the FoundryCast. My name is Cyrus.
I'm Zach.
And this is episode 9.
Yeah.
We are the bearded bros of building and brewing. How about that?
We are.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not bearded right now.
You are. You're scruffed.
Yeah.
You took the beard down.
I usually grow out my beard this time of year in the fall, and I started to grow mine out and about 2 weeks ago. And I got about a week in.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm not feeling it. I took it off, which, I don't know. I don't know if that means I'm getting more mature or if it means I'm getting stupider.
Could be either one. I don't want to judge. Yeah. It's not mature. No, I don't know. I have the bad habit of shaving my beard down or off at the colder months, and then...
No, you need it in the cold months.
Forgetting to get getting my hair cut shorter in the colder months. And then when it gets to summer, I grow the beard out, I get a little shaggier. I don't know why. I'm just uncomfortable.
Actually, I like the short hair in the cold months because you're going to wear a hat more often.
It's true.
And if I'm going to wear like a beanie especially, I don't want long hair.
Yeah, and then your hair gets all messed up.
But the beard, you got to have the beard in the wintertime.
I think we live in a town where beards are pretty popular.
They're a thing.
Yeah. It's so out that it's back in.
Right.
And
maybe that's
a lot of our friends have beards right now, so it's okay. You can be the rebel, having the visible chin.
Yeah, being smooth as a baby's butt after 2 days of hair growth on a baby's butt.
How do you shave a baby's butt?
Very carefully.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Well, it's been a very interesting week for us. I've been crafting a lot behind the scenes. I haven't been producing as much material for the website as I'd like, so there's going to be a deluge of just stuff being created and thrown up on the website, blogs, videos here, ASAP. Yeah. I've been spending a lot of time in my own Pathfinder game. We're getting to a very interesting culminating point, and you're a player in the game previously, so I don't want to give too much away, because I always like, if you come back, anything that's happened is a surprise, and the other characters get to tell your character what happened. But I know you've been really busy, too. Yeah,
it's been real life lately. School and work and stuff, it's been getting kind of in the way. I've more been planning than doing any actual work, which sucks. But
I think that's an important phase, though.
Yeah.
You can sit down and just generate, and that's good, but if you plan it out, that generation phase is so much faster, it's so much cleaner, because you kind of know where you want to go with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to look ahead. I mean, one little bit of good news that did happen is I got a hotel reserved for Dragon Con next year, so it's, a little less than a year away, but I'm going to be in the Marriott again, so that puts me in a good place to be able to plan ahead, where I'm knowing where I'm going to be, and So we're looking at costumes and some other things right now, but not much to show for it. I'm hoping very soon that I'm going to start. I think I'm probably just going to break down and start doing some Let's Play videos or something, just to be able to produce something.
And that's always been some of my favorites. You never know what's going to catch on. There are so many YouTubers today who all they did was something they thought was fun and interesting.
Yeah.
They didn't know if someone was going to buy into it, and thousands and millions of people did, and they can support themselves from that. So you never know.
I'm expecting millions of people to watch my videos soon.
Yeah. I hope we'll get some fans. That's what I'm looking for. Big fan base.
You know, I don't want fans. I want a bunch of people that hate me. I
Really?
want 1 million people that hate me watching my stuff. Because they're going to buy my stuff no matter what, because they hate me so much.
Oh.
Fans are fickle, you know? Fans will be like, I'm going to move on. But people who hate you, they're going to hate you forever.
Well, as long as they buy what you're selling, they hate you. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
You bought it.
That's all I care about. That's the only reason we're here, is to make money, let's be honest.
That's what John Cena, the wrestler, always says. You can cheer me or hate me, but you're standing up talking about me, and that's what's important.
They're still buying his t-shirt.
You're still buying his t-shirt? I don't own one. I'm currently wearing a New Day t-shirt.
Nice.
It's one of my favorites. And
I love New Day.
New Day rocks.
Yes.
Speaking of fans, it's one of the best intros.
Sorry.
And we are going to have to get that game and play
We do need to play some
WWE, is it 2K6, 2K16 or something?
I think it's 17.
17? It's going to have some boss characters. I'll tell you more about it after the cameras stop rolling. But speaking of fans, I want to talk a little bit about this fan petition that's really going strong right now.
Mm-hmm.
Over 50,000 people have signed it, which still isn't that much, but it's gaining popularity, it's gaining ground.
Yeah.
These people want to bring The Old Republic as a series to Netflix.
We're talking the Old Republic video game?
The Old Republic, The
MMO?
Old Republic as a setting.
Oh, okay.
As the characters. The idea would be that it's based on Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, and also the Old Republic video game. Bringing those characters into a Netflix original series. And I think there's something interesting there, but I don't know about it. Okay, Star Wars is a huge thing. It always was underground, but now little girls are wearing Rey costumes for Halloween. Kylo Ren, as much as you want to say about him being a bad guy, his costume's cool. It's selling like crazy at Walmart right now.
Yeah, it's going to be big for the Halloween issue.
Yeah, it's a huge resurgence. And then Star Wars The Old Republic just had an expansion pack that came out in the last few weeks. Yeah. So fans are getting into it almost as much as they ever have.
Yeah.
I venture to say maybe more or better than The Phantom Menace, because the prequels rather.
Yeah, getting back into that setting.
Well, there wasn't a thing for little boys to dress up as. And now there are a couple new characters. There wasn't a girl character that the girls could dress up as. All you had was Darth Maul. That was the only big takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, looking at, as an aside, not even related to Old Republic or anything, but that's been an interesting phenomenon with the Episode 7 being released and like the new push on Star Wars is that it's really cool to sit back and watch a new generation fall in love with Star Wars. That's been fun. So like you said, there's all these cool characters that little kids like that, we appreciate as like Star Wars nerds, but they just like, they're liking it the same way that we liked Han
but for their own reasons. And then I think it's fascinating that once this movie series has run its course, or at least gotten a decade in, what's the nostalgia going to be like? Yeah. And what are those now adults going to be talking to us about?
Well, because they copied the original films beat for beat, it's going to be the exact same nostalgia we have.
Luke, Ray, what? Same thing. Well, here's the question I have. Yeah. The setting. The Star Wars universe, fantastic. It's
for the most part.
It's foreign and yet understandable. You can do political stories that may mirror what's happening in our real world, but it's long ago and far away, so you can tell your own version of the story, and it's a fantasy and science. But the setting is 3,000 years before the current universe of stories being told. Whether it be before the originals, after the originals, because we've got both going on currently. Rogue One is before the originals.
Right before. Literally.
Between episodes 3 and 4. It leads up to episode 4.
Yep.
And then the new ones, episode 7, episode 8, and beyond. Right. this is 3,000 years before, so it would only really speak immediately to the fans of the games.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the great strengths of Star Wars as a setting is that it is, like, if you look at it from a science fiction perspective, which there's not a huge amount of, well, I mean, there's sci-fi in there, but it's not as science fiction-y as, other settings would be.
Yeah.
But the science fiction look at it is, like, the technology is almost frozen in place.
It is.
So, we jump back 3,000 years, but for the most part, the technology is all the same. So it's almost like, the nice thing about that setting is that you can jump to any time period and still tell the same, they can tell stories that they would want to tell in the, quote unquote current timeline, whatever the movie's timeline is.
Right.
But they don't want to bump elbows with that kind of stuff. So they're like, oh, we want to be in this setting, but we don't want to mess with what's going on with the movies. We jump back 3,000 years. Same setting now, but we cleared out all of those characters and all that stuff that's going on.
But I think you need that connection because it's a pivotal time in the mythos. Yeah. There's a civil war. There's an uprising. It's a very interesting time to tell stories, especially from the video game perspective.
Yeah.
But considering that Yoda was 800 years old, and this is 3,000. So it was to be Yoda's great-grandfather.
Yeah, Yoda's not even alive yet.
Not even alive yet. So if you said it was 100 years before, you could see shadows of the Empire growing. I don't know. I think if they did it, I'm going to be a fan, and I will remain a subscriber to Netflix.
Yeah.
I'll watch it, and I'll give it the 5 stars because it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't know if some of the younger fans, the newer fans, are going to understand it if you haven't played the games.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Even looking at like the prequel trilogy, one of the disadvantages of that setting is that, like you said, it's not as interesting. You go back 3,000 years, and the rebellion's not that well. That being said, actually, I haven't played the current MMO, Old Republic, but I played KOTOR, the Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
One thing that always irked me is that you're playing a game set 1,000 years, 3,000 years, whatever, before, but I think in KOTOR or whatever, it was like, there was the Sith were there, and there was a galactic civil war between the Sith and the Republic. Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, wait, you've jumped back 3,000 years so that you can tell your own story? You're telling the same story where there's a civil war going on? Like, why do you need to be doing this? I think that's been part of the problem with the prequels and some of the things is they do kind of fall flat where you don't have that familiar occurrence, that familiar setting that the original trilogy has that we all love. It's almost like generic Star Wars. Mm-hmm. It feels kind of surface level and generic.
An argument that I have for Episode 7 being just like Episode 4 is sort of meta, and I'm sure it was inadvertent, but it's the same thing that happens when kingdoms rise and fall. The internal strife within is usually what causes them to collapse. You look at Rome, look at all these others. So they're telling the same kind of story because that's what happened. So 3,000 years ago, you could have had the same sort of cycle in the increase in power and corruption and the fall and rebellion and the rise and the Phoenix and then the New Hope, and then it is the same story, but it's telling a different kind of the same cycle, maybe. Then again, Episode 7, beat for beat, same as Episode 4.
Yeah, I mean, Episode 7 is basically, it's more of a soft reboot than, and that's not surprising with J.J. Abrams at the helm, but, they did kind of copy a lot of elements from Episode 4. Not to say that Episode 7 isn't amazing, because it's a great film.
I love it.
It's a lot of fun. It's really good, and part of the reason I like it is because it's taking that original film from the 70s that little kids probably aren't necessarily going to like because it's kind of hokey, and updating it to modern standards. And yeah, I'm okay with that. But yeah, something like this, I don't know. I get what you're saying about cyclical nature of history, but at the same time, do we need the same story being told? Tell us something new. Give us a different setting. I don't know.
So here's the question: if they do this, is it going to be the same story that we've heard before, that we've seen before, even in its own game and its incarnation? If they take that setting and they want to tell a unique story, like I said, I'll support it.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see if it would be as popular as they think it is.
You know, my opinion on this specifically and other Star Wars projects is going to hinge on Rogue One when it comes out this year. I'm interested to see Rogue One because that's going to tell me what they're going to do with the Star Wars franchise, what Disney's going to do. If it's...
My current prediction, one word, monster. I think it's going to be a
really
monster movie. I think it's going to be great. I don't think the little kids are going to go and see it, but for the die-hard fans who want a darker story that is gritty and realistic and still grounded in the Star Wars universe, I think it's going to be awesome, and it gives us hope for all these Star Wars story movies that might have Boba Fett, that might have Yoda as a teenager going to high school, getting into hijinks.
Do not need to see that. I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious to see if it ends up being really, really good. It's going to bode well for all these, Star Wars story side projects they're talking about. We'll see.
Switching gears a little bit, as of this previous week, they're opening the first competitive lightsaber academy in San Francisco, in the United States.
Oh, San Francisco.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a drive for us here in North Carolina.
Of a drive.
They've had these academies in Europe for 10 years already.
Oh, really?
They're finally opening the first one, and it's considered sporting lightsaber combat.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be a little bit of the Flash, but at first I thought hokey. I thought silly.
Yeah.
You could be ordained as a Jedi minister.
Mm-hmm.
You could choose Jedi as a current religion.
You can, yeah.
But is this going to just be something that people do because they like glow sticks and going to raves?
Right.
But the more I've researched it, the more videos I've watched, it is a competitive sport. It's just like fencing. Yeah. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, if you look at, the origins of lightsabers in the films, Episode 4, it's funny because a lot of people complain about the lightsaber battle Episode 4 between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, Anakin, whatever, being kind of boring. And it's interesting. It's the fighting style there is based on kendo, which is Japanese sword, formalized Japanese sword fighting, which in itself is a competitive sport. There's kendo competitions all over the world. So it makes sense to then turn around and create the same thing out of lightsaber combat. Now you can add on all the new stuff from the new movies, so you're turning it into almost like not mixed martial arts, but you're adding other martial arts to it, making it more acrobatic as well. But I think it's interesting, and I think in a way it actually makes sense. If you look at the Wikipedia article on lightsaber combat, I mean, it's hours of reading about the different forms.
Well, and they do incorporate that to this. Yeah. Because they have 10 rules, which are basically about scoring and fair play and what the area's like and what you're allowed to wear, what the lightsabers are supposed to be made out of, just so it's legal combat.
Sure.
And then they incorporate the 7 styles. So just like Taekwondo, just like Kendo or Karate, you learn levels and you gain ranks. And you can only wear certain insignias based on the rank that you've accrued through this school.
Yeah.
And you learn the 7 styles of lightsaber combat that are supposed to increase in difficulty as you go.
Form 1 and 2 are supposed to be really easy.
They're really easy, and then one's more about striking out, one's about defense, one's balanced in harmony, and they just get harder and harder. But I think that would be amazing if we had something like that here. But we get back into that term that you coined a few episodes back, athletic nerdism.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that inspires those in the nerd culture to get healthier, to go and be active.
Yep.
I think it's a blessing.
And also, get out and be with other people, too, and share a hobby that's lightsaber fighting is something where you have to be around other people to enjoy, so that's a healthy thing as well.
Semi-segue, were you there the night that our friends had the epic lightsaber fight out of nowhere? It was a game night. We were at the apartment up the street.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, 2 of our friends challenged each other to a lightsaber duel. They went out in the grass and beat on each other.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
There was more than one night I remember having lightsaber fights, but I do remember specifically which one you're talking about.
There was a duel. There was something between these two gentlemen.
Two people that were good at it.
They were fairly good at it. I think I could take at least one of them, if not both of them.
Well, in a fist fight, maybe, but
I don't know, lightsaber. I think I would try not to be flashy.
Yeah.
I would be more like the fencer. I'm just trying to go for your vitals.
Yeah, you just got to defend yourself.
I'm not won't
wait for your opportunity to.
Yeah. I'm using style number 2.
Okay.
Which is the ish.
I believe it's boop blop tibidot.
I can tell you what they
are.
are.
Is the Wikipedia name for that? Is
I can tell you exactly what the styles are.
Oh God, we're consulting Wikipedia.
No, this is from the company's called Ludosport.
Okay.
And they did research through all the stuff that's probably not true canon anymore.
Yeah. True.
Chicho is Form 1. Makashi is Form 2.
Oh, yeah.
Soresu is Form 3.
That's what Obi-Wan uses, if I recall. I feel like
lures
I'm right
the opponent in a spiral, studying his or her pace and attitude to dominate and close the fight in short measure with fluid and elegant movements.
I should say prequel Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan, I feel like used that one, but I could be wrong about that.
Form 4, Ataru.
Oh.
Ataru.
Okay.
Form 5, Jemso.
Yeah, sure.
Form 6, Niman.
Ooh.
Form 7, Vapad.
Man, who can
That's one
Vapad?
where like the power ranking, speed, unpredictability, physical effort, all the way. Mm-hmm. And they said this takes 2 years of learning.
Training. Wow.
Training to learn, yeah.
I like it. You know what I like about this? Just thinking back to conversations we've had about people playing Quidditch in real life. Quidditch has terrible rules. It's a terrible sport. Mm-hmm. It makes no sense and it's dumb. What I like about this is that they're making it up as they go. You know, they're taking lightsaber combat as a background and they can pull on these strings.
They've based the rules in real combat.
Yeah, they can build a system that makes sense and that works in real life.
Exactly.
Instead of, let's go play Quidditch. Oh, we have to use these stupid rules that J.K. Rowling came up with. Oh.
Maybe there's some sort of Quidditch unabridged.
Yeah, there needs to be an updated Quidditch version. All right, Cyrus. Spoiler alert. Coming up. Actually, no, there's no spoiler alerts here.
Thank goodness, because some of our friends are terrible spoilers.
It happens sometimes. Yeah,
it does.
Happens. There's too much stuff to. You know, it's like, oh, have you seen this new show? And there's 8 new shows on Netflix you gotta watch.
Shows.
There's a show on Amazon Prime you gotta watch.
Yeah.
There's 14 movies you gotta. Yeah, it's too many spoiler alerts.
And I've got a job, for goodness sake, and I've got a family to provide for.
I don't got time to keep up with everything.
I've got time to just barely keep up, but if I ask you, I haven't watched this show, let's zip it. Then don't go, oh, by the way, this really cool thing happens with the dragon. I'm like, there's a dragon? Now I know to look out for a dragon.
Dumbledore dies. Spoiler alert!
Not cool.
Sorry, guys.
Not cool. Because you know people did that.
They did.
The night the book came out, some people got the preview.
I remember seeing it. When that book came out, I hadn't read any of the Harry Potter stuff. I don't really care. And I remember seeing the day it came out. The Dumbledore dies, spoiler alert, and I was like, what is this? But then when I went back and read the books and saw the films, I'm like, I already knew.
You already knew, and it was spoiled.
It
was an amazing, pivotal moment that had so much weight and told so much more of a story. Thanks for ruining it.
Jerk. Internet jerks.
So you were saying spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. So it's something I want to talk about today because I was noticing a few new news stories lately about Rogue One, the new Star Wars.
Well, be careful not to spoil anything yourself.
Yeah, we're not spoiling anything tonight, but I saw a couple articles where they were talking about new toys and new trading cards and stuff coming out for that movie, and it was making me realize this is happening more and more often lately, where new films, sci-fi movies, like comic book movies, all the nerdy kind of movies we like, they're getting spoiled. Not to massive amounts, it's usually not like, oh, you ruined the film for me, but like, now we know these characters' names, and now we know that they're going to be in this place. And
right.
Even episode 7, there were some, like, we knew they were going to be on a snowy moon forest place at some point. And so you're just waiting for that to happen in the film. And it made me think back to when we were kids and we saw movies like the original Star Wars trilogy. We didn't know anything about them going in. Or a great example, which we talked about before we started recording, The Matrix. I remember when The Matrix came out in 2000, 2001, I don't remember. I didn't really know anything about that movie going in. The trailers weren't descriptive. It was just like, this is going to change the way you think about stuff or whatever. And we went and saw it, and it was this amazing action movie, and it was great. These days, that would all be spoiled, and then you'd be waiting for certain scenes to happen in the film.
And that still happens with me. I will watch the preview for, Age of Ultron, and there's a scene that you get very briefly. They want to show that hero scene where all the good guys are fighting the Ultron robots in the center of that town or whatever.
So now you know that scene's coming.
And I know all those people are going to be okay up until that point.
Right, yeah. There's no sense of danger for any of the characters because you know they're going to make it to that point.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's part of where media has taken us now, in that when I was a child and I saw the preview, it would get me excited for the movie, and usually you only saw previews before you watched a movie.
Another movie, yeah.
So by the time you got home, you didn't exactly digest exactly what's going to happen on that snowy planet.
Yeah. You weren't watching the trailer 40 times on YouTube at home. You saw it that one time 6 months before the movie came out.
If you saw Back to the Future, you would say, he's in the Back to the Future 2 preview. He goes to the future, but maybe the past. I'm not sure. And there is a holographic Jaws. And he's on a hoverboard. Yeah. That's all you would probably remember from the preview.
Those weren't really integral scenes to that film. No. So, okay, I'm waiting for the holographic Jaws to show up, but it doesn't really matter. It's not going to ruin the film for you.
One of the biggest things that's happening right now is the desire for companies to get their toys out before the movie to help sell more of the movie. Right. But they're giving away information. Yeah. This happened for Iron Man. They told you who the villain was. Right. They told you what's going on with the villain because of the toy. It happened to the first Harry Potter. What's his name with the turbans on his head?
Squirrel?
Professor Quirrell.
Sorry.
Quirrell. Professor Quirrell, and they said, with hidden Voldemort head. Yeah. You just gave away the crazy reveal at the end of the movie if you haven't read the book.
It would be like if they released, Episode 4 came out and they released a Darth Vader action figure where he came with a Luke Skywalker birth certificate. You're like, wait, no.
With a paternity test.
Exactly. It's
Maury Povich on a couch. Action playset.
And that's not fun. No, but that's the point we're at now. Is like, okay, now the McDonald's toy is going to have a dead Voldemort. And you're like, well, I guess then Voldemort's going to get killed or whatever.
Well, we kind of assumed maybe by the end of the movie that would happen and evil wouldn't reign, but we wouldn't. There are some spoilers that you couldn't reveal. Yeah. I remember when the Suicide Squad came out. I think did we see it opening? I think I saw it opening night.
I haven't seen it yet. Actually, I haven't seen Suicide Squad.
It's a fairly decent movie. Great popcorn flick. The villains are great. There's a lack of heroes because the villains are heroes, but I would love to see heroes really more than just the Batman cameos they had. But there was a thing that came out before the movie was released that said, here's what that ending means about Harley Quinn. And there isn't something crazy. Yeah. But I went in thinking, okay, at the end of the movie, something crazy is going to happen with Harley Quinn. So I was never settled with her, so that when something crazy happened, I was surprised. I was always like, where is the thing? There was the thing. I think that the media is now so anxious to grab people, hook them, and give you a little more of a teaser, and they think we won't mind by the time we get to the movie theater.
Yeah, it's become... The film is just this product now. It's not film. It's not... The film isn't important. It's everything around the film. I don't know. It's kind of disappointing. And like I said, it seems like it's becoming more and more of the thing, and it gets to the point where you're like, I don't even want to log into Facebook anymore because there's going to be a picture, a meme, something on there that's going to, in some way, just a little tiny bit, spoiler a film for me.
And there are some ways that you can hide through certain social media, like Twitter. There are a couple apps that you can purchase. I think there may be some that are free that will one's called Spoiler Block, which is really great. You just type in words, type in Harry Potter, type in Star Wars, and nothing with that word will come through your feed.
Oh, that's super
So you can block celebrities you don't want to hear about. Like, I don't care about Kim Kardashian, or I do care about Kim Kardashian, but not Kanye. And you can filter that, and that's a good way to do it. But your Facebook feed is hard to do unless the things that you normally like to subscribe to you hide. Yeah.
But then you're willfully segregating yourself into things, and now you can't talk to your friends about anything because they're, you're willfully not paying attention to certain subjects, and I don't know. I guess the whole point of this topic is that things were a lot easier when we were kids.
I think a lot of what we talk about, these things are easier and more fun when we were kids.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
But now, hey, we got a job. If I want to go and watch a movie tonight, I can do it. I can go buy ice cream whenever I want. I think there's a trade-off.
Yeah, but that ice cream has been spoiled for you now. There's already...
Is there a spoiler alert for my spoiled ice cream?
You already know that there's mint in that chocolate chip. And, when you get to it, you're like, oh, yeah, there's the mint. Okay, yeah, I was waiting for the mint to show up. Instead of, ooh, this chocolate ice cream is going to be, oh, there's mint!
So I was mentioning Harry Potter just because it's become still newsworthy. With the Cursed Child play and book that recently, screenplay that came out, and with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them coming out in theaters in just a couple months.
Coming out soon, yeah.
It's regaining popularity, and I believe that in this month or throughout the holiday season, they're going to bring all the movies back to theaters for a limited time engagement.
Oh, really?
Okay. I always support movies coming back to theaters.
Yes.
A couple years ago, they brought Lion King back to theaters. They've done that with some Disney movies. But with Fantastic Beasts, just the other day, a tweet came out from their website, and J.K. Rowling officially stated that there will be a total of 5 movies for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Wait, what?
5 full movies.
Wasn't it a little tiny companion book?
And
5 movies?
5 movies. Now, this means the thing that we've talked about before, getting back into the universe, writing, coming up with ideas. Clearly she has an idea of where this is going to go.
Well, is she in charge of these movies, or is she giving it to somebody else?
I think she's going to be associated with it.
Okay.
Maybe she's going to be a contributor. Maybe she's got a storyline in mind, because this builds up to the original movies.
5 movies, though. Jeez.
But this is, 100 years before? 70 years before?
Something like that. Yeah, 1920s, 30s, something like that. Right?
So, almost 100 years before.
Well, no, 60 years, because the books took place in the 90s, didn't they?
Yeah, that's true.
Like mid-90s, which is pretty funny, because even reading them when I did in the mid-2000s, I'm like, wow, this took place 10 years ago. It's crazy. That's interesting. I don't know. How many,
this is still highly milkable. If you go to the Harry Potter, I call it Harry Potter World. If you go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Studios, it is still jam-packed. They just built in Diagon Alley in Disney World.
Well, they add to it every year, don't they?
Or every couple of years they're going to add a little something, I think. They have to tear down another park to open that up. So
who cares?
You repurpose. Let's throw a dragon on the front. Now we have a new roller coaster.
Who cares about Pirates of the Caribbean? Tear that down. Let's put more Harry Potter.
And they're still doing, what's his name? Not Hercules. Sinbad. They're still doing the Sinbad show.
Oh,
I saw it a couple years ago, which is awesome.
Okay.
It's a stunt actor swing on ropes with fire and people falling in water. It was great fun. Yeah. You can tell the actors are just been doing this for 15 years and hate their lives.
Going through the motions, yeah.
Smoking a cigarette before they come out on stage.
Still smoking when they come out.
Yeah, airplane bottle fell out of his tights. It was pretty severe.
That's okay.
But I think there's still a lot to do. And this is a point that I made before. There's still story to be told in that universe. Don't tell me Harry Potter as a failed Auror at 37 years old. I don't want to know what he's doing then. But you want to tell me more about these magical creatures and also tell me where to find them. But it's characters that
it's right there in the name.
It is. That's a spoiler block. we need to hide that there's
spoiler alert. We're going to tell you where to find magical creatures. Yes. I don't know. It's interesting. It's going back to even what we were talking about with Star Wars and we're jumping back in Star Wars 3,000 years. The nice thing about Star Wars is it's a very flexible, open environment. I guess theoretically Harry Potter is too. The Harry Potter universe, at least the wizarding side of it, is not a place where technology has moved.
That's right.
It's, they're still using steam trains and owls to deliver mail.
Because they don't need technology.
Right.
Magic, what is the quote that the civilized society, at a certain point, their technology will appear as magic to other people?
Yeah, Arthur C. Clarke said that, it's ultra-advanced technology would appear to lesser beings as magic.
And that's kind of what happens here. And one of the fascinating concepts about Arthur Weasley and that him trying to understand technology in the movies, I don't think really did it justice. But the fact that you could not take a cell phone into Hogwarts because it would stop working, it would explode automatically. They've got something much better than good cell service, and that is being able to talk through flu powder.
I think I'd rather have an iPhone than climb into a chimney.
I'd like to have a newer iPhone, but like iPhone 3 and before that, I'd rather have the Magic. But nowadays, I can play my Angry Birds and my Flappy Bird, all my other bird games. On my iPhone.
But fair enough. To each their own. But I think it's interesting. It's again going back to talking about Star Wars. We're talking about Star Wars a lot tonight. Going back to when we were talking about Rogue One, and I said, all the Star Wars extra stuff, like Rogue One is going to kind of tell me kind of what to expect going forward for more of that stuff. Mm-hmm. In the same way, you're saying 5 films total.
5 films. So
4 more films in this setting. Let's look at this first film and see how it works, if it's any good, and does that mean that the other 4 films are going to be good or not? If you can create a setting that I want to explore more or not.
I think it's the fact that the setting is still that timelessness because it's going to be magic and it's going to be a very romanticized time period. So people dressing very dapper and industrialized America is just up and growing. Skyscrapers are starting to be built for the first time. The music, I think it's going to be a fun romp. Yeah. Can it sustain for an additional 4 movies?
Let's see.
Probably so. I mean, they are still slowly cranking out those Harry Potter ripoff movies.
Which ones?
Oh, the boy with
the one where they're the Greek mythology,
the Greek mythology one, which was fun.
The dragon one, or which one are we talking about?
All of them. Those movies are still coming out, even though it lost a little bit of traction. And I'm happy to see if it sticks up because I've enjoyed that universe long enough, and I'm ready for there to be more because there's no reason to stop if they don't have to.
I don't know. It makes me think about Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar,
and they've got 4 more.
They're movies? They're like, well, we're going to make all these more movies in this world, and nobody cares. Avatar, I think at this point, most people would agree that the Avatar movie wasn't all that good. Like, at the time, it was like, well, it's pretty crazy, it's 3D, but retrospective, it's not all that good. Nobody cares about these other movies. So, like I said, it's gonna be about this first movie. If they're gonna be able to create a world that's interesting to me. The original Harry Potter movies, Hogwarts, just that setting connects with a lot of people, even Americans who didn't go to English style boarding schools. There's a lot to connect to there. This setting, like you said, 1920s New York, is that gonna connect with people, or are people gonna like it? I don't know, we'll see.
I guess we'll find out November 18th.
November 18th.
On this week's Table Topics,
I
wanted to talk a little bit about something that comes up in nearly every single tabletop game that we've run, or that anyone else will run, and that is creating a memorable NPC.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty integral to almost any game.
Sometimes you're running a module, and then the NPCs will be given to you a little bit of flair. They tend to have a memorable quality about them.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, in the games that you've run, what sort of creation or guidance have you taken to create an NPC that's going to stick out with your players?
I'd say a couple of things. One, and this is this is a theme that I think I stick to a lot when we talk about table topics. Flexibility. Mm-hmm. There's been plenty of times when I've played a game and I've come up with a throwaway NPC, and maybe I choose a specific voice for that character, or they're doing something specific that leads the party to interact with them more, and all of a sudden the party is interested in that character, and that blossoms into, so an NPC that, as far as I'm concerned, was just a throwaway 2-second thing, grows into a memorable character because of the party.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. You always need to make sure you're flexible and recognize those ends to where, let's explore this a little bit more.
Because I've thrown NPCs at the players, expecting they'll be like, all right, here's our new buddy. Here's our new bosom companion. Here's our new foe. Here's our new foil. But they just don't care.
They don't respond at all, yeah.
Or the people that they're supposed to like, they distrust.
Right.
The people that I figure are more distrustful, they go, oh, we're gonna ride with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I haven't yet figured out how to prepare for what their reaction is going to be. But to your point, if you're flexible, it doesn't matter. Whichever way they choose to accept your character, it may be a throwaway character, but be prepared to now have them be someone that they see a lot.
Integral to the plot. Yeah, that's happened to me several times. It's like a character that this person's going to give 2 sentences. Oh, all of a sudden, next game, I'm building the whole adventure around them. The other thing I would say, building a memorable character, treat NPC, or building a memorable NPC, I should say. Treat an NPC like you would if you were a director treating a character actor or a character part. You said when you were introducing this topic about kind of I don't remember your exact phrasing, but basically a single, I don't want to say one note, but a single aspect of a character. Like, oh, this guy is real dumb. That, if you're a character actor, you're going to take that stupidity, this guy is real dumb, and you're going to pull it out into all kinds of aspects of the performance and make it a fun character. You're not creating a lead. You're not creating a multifaceted character that people are going to fall in love with. What you're creating is a character, again, going with the same theme, that into the end of the night, the party's going to go, wow, that guy was real dumb.
Yeah.
They're going to remember how dumb that guy was, or how crazy that guy was, or how much of a jerk that guy was. That guy was such a jerk.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot but all you have to do is pull that one little thread to, not an extreme, but almost to an extreme, to make it memorable.
Well, yeah, you got to turn it up a notch. Because in truth, and my way of looking at it is, you're not building a PC, you're building an NPC.
Exactly.
This is not necessarily someone that you are going to play for a long time.
Yeah.
This is the means to an end, usually. And the characters are going to run into a lot of NPCs, unless it's the king and they're working for the king, or the shopkeep who's their hookup. They got to keep going back to the shopkeep. What I've found that turning it up a notch, one way of doing that is giving them something that they want to accomplish themselves. So you've got to add the desire that character would have.
Yeah.
So that could be they're in it for money. So maybe they seem kind of normal, but at the moment that they can turn on the characters, take all the money, and leave, they're like, oh, that now that person's memorable. For all the subtle nuances may be forgotten, but that cheating lying bugger.
They stole all our money.
Stole all our money, ran off with the horse and the cart. We're going to find him, and we're going to take care of business.
That's a good point, is having a not necessarily realistic is a good word, but a good focus for a character. They want something. Every character wants something. The lush fruit vendor.
The lush fruit vendor.
To
our
our
listeners, you have no idea how much the lush fruit vendor means to our group.
He wants to sell lush fruit. That's what he wants.
That's all he wants.
And that's okay. That's an okay motivation. Or this guy wants to screw over the party and take their money. That's an okay motivation to have. That's funny. That's fun to use that to build a character.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to approach it. As an NPC, you need to remember, like you said, it's not a PC. You don't need a 4-page backstory for an NPC. They don't need a complex motivation. They need a motivation. Mm-hmm. They're not just, I'm a signpost that can talk. It's, I'm a signpost that can talk, but I'm a farmer, and can y'all get me some seeds?
Yeah.
That's, okay, now we're all of a sudden getting a fella with a funny hat that really loves his seeds. He wants some seeds.
And to add to that point, actually adding a voice, you don't have to be a character actor. No, you don't have to be very good at this, but if you can imagine what that character sounds like, I fashioned the alchemist that your characters met, Quercus.
Quercus? Okay, yeah.
You met Quercus, and he is based off a character that I saw on a TV show. Or at least his voice is.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be silly or crazy, but he's a little more, his voice is a little creakier, and he turns phrases in interesting ways, and everybody knew that when I was Quercus, that somebody different was talking to them as an NPC, someone who you would have to deal with differently than, say, the mayor of the town or one of the local knights who was helping you. If you can do a voice, if you just base it off somebody to give you a different inflection, you don't have to have a full-fledged, you don't have to, I, the dwarf, with the low gravelly, with the accent. You don't have to do any of that. You could just think of yourself as the dwarf, and my father a long time ago, he was a strong dwarf.
I can't believe he quit drinking. No, that's actually a really good piece of advice, I think, is take a character, if there's a, like I said, a side character, a random character actor in a film or a TV show you like that remind you of this character, use that. That's fine. Nobody's going to get upset that you stole that character from 90210, bro. Nobody's going to care.
Oh, you busted me.
Does anybody remember what 90210 is?
Nah,
or is it just me and you? Anyway, a TV show. Nobody's going to care that you lifted that because it's an NPC, but it's going to help them remember. Oh, that's the guy that's kind of like he's kind of like Han Solo. He's kind of like a smarmy jerk.
What I've been doing, a couple little tricks. These aren't guaranteed to work, but for just like a one-off, I try to give the character a name that has something to do with their personality. So if the character is Swift Thistle, probably Elvish or something like Elven or Swift. So. Maybe they're fast. Maybe they're athletic. Maybe they're smart. Maybe if their name is if he's Grayton Silverbeard, like dude likes money. If his name's Silverbeard, or he's
Silver Stacks, Gold Bar.
Scrooge McDuck. Like, okay. He's all Scrooge.
About the bling. Yeah.
He is. And another thing that started to work for me, I've known this, but I haven't applied it until like the last year or two, is to add a flaw. I think, the character would just be a character, be a representation, and then it'll evolve, and they always do, but my, the Paladin NPC, he is a paladin, and he's powerful, and he's got all these holy abilities, but he's also kind of hesitant to talk about religion. Yeah. He doesn't seem to be truly the most faithful representative. Yeah. He's not the paragon of might and glory that he used to be.
That's another really good point, really good idea is, if you have an NPC, especially like an NPC who's a paladin. Paladin's a player class. And you need to be able to rationalize to the party why this character isn't a PC. Okay, here's a paladin who's got all these powerful abilities. Why isn't this guy out having adventures?
Why isn't he the one doing this?
Yeah, why is he tagging along with us? It's because he has flaws. It's because he's not a PC. Because he's not perfect. He's not to say PCs are perfect. But he's not that. There's something in a role-playing game that makes a PC a PC. And, from a meta standpoint, it's because a player's playing them. But from a game standpoint, it's because that's a special person. They're a little bit more special, depending on the setting, a little bit more special than everybody else around them. And so your NPCs, if they're powerful, if they have certain abilities, you need to also give them something to knock them down a notch so that they're not a PC.
Well, I think it makes them relatable as well.
Yeah.
I recently showcased a hidden relationship between an NPC and somebody else.
Dun, dun, dun.
Didn't really matter who, but
Yeah.
that this person actually cares for somebody. And I noticed the group instinctively was like, oh, like so many things fell into place for them.
Yeah.
And it was something that I had as almost an afterthought at one point, generating the NPC. But I didn't want to make that part of the drive that's very visual, that they didn't see that this character's acting in that way. And then when it became noticeable, it made so much more sense. It humanized them. Yeah. And I think that took what would have been a throwaway character and made like, oh, this is someone we should remember. Yeah. And if we need help, we can ask them for help, or if they ask us for help, we'll be there.
Yeah, I think just a general example of that would be, okay, you've got a minion character that's following your party around, and they get shot and they're bleeding out, and they're dying, and they die.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody cares. Now we gotta get a new minion, They die, and they reach in their pocket and pull out a picture of their daughter, and it's covered in blood, and they're like, tell my daughter, I love them. And now you're like, we're gonna get that guy because he killed Jim.
Exactly. Oh no, James. Yeah. You know the James story. That still makes me angry. But I think I told you in the Gotrek and Felix story in Orc Slayer, all these dwarves band together with the main characters, and they're going to assault this cave up this mountain, and you've got all the dwarves together. And this is the first book in the series that I had read. I have no idea the kill count that's waiting for me. Essentially, every NPC is going to die. But they make it seem like this is the Fellowship, and maybe one or two will die. Yeah. No, sir.
Everybody.
And in gory and, useless ways. It's not a heroic death. It is a boulder falls on them and dies. Yeah. And this dwarf, he's not a mute, or he might be mute. And he's sitting there at night with his knife, and he's carving this beautiful, ornate little figurine, and just kind of gives it to the main guy. And it's like, wow, thank you. And it is masterwork quality. The next day, boulder falls, crushes his head. Yeah. He's just dead. Yeah. Nothing romantic about it. And that stuck with me. So occasionally, I think killing off a character, an NPC, it has to be a drive for the next big thing. You can't do it just go, hey, look, emotional subtext.
Right, yeah. I'm not saying
angry
just cheap.
Now?
You're not trying for cheap tears or something.
But if you add that at the right time, I think you can go, I will always remember that minion that had the bloody picture of his daughter and died. Save her! And passes it off. Exactly. And you're like, oh, now we gotta kill that vampire lord. Even more now. Well, Zach, we do have some late-breaking news, something that was just released today, and I know you couldn't help but see it everywhere on Facebook and the news. Yeah. Nintendo released a little bit of more information about what they were calling the NX. It's now Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, so I've seen that it is Nintendo Switch, and I saw that they were going to do an info dump today about it. I have purposely avoided any more information about that so that we could talk about it here. So I haven't heard much more, like you said, other than the name Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. And to tell you the truth, there isn't much more that they released than that. There was a 3-minute video that was another sort of standard Nintendo-style video where they show you what it is and kind of what it can do in your life, the Nintendo Switch. But they don't tell you anything data-wise more than that is coming out in March of 2017. So not in time for Christmas, but we have the Nintendo Mini coming out to tide us over for this holiday season. Yeah. But what it is, it's the weirdest amalgamation of a portable system and a home console. And a lot of the rumors that we've been receiving are true. Yeah. Detachable controllers from the main system.
2 controllers?
2 little controllers. Okay. Imagine, if you will, you've seen the Wii U, you've played a Wii U before. If you were to shrink the screen down just a little bit and then make it thinner, and then the controllers on the side, if those were able to pop off, then you would have 2 small controllers. So it's essentially you have the dongle, the
nunchuck. Wait.
It's just like the nunchucks, except they are Bluetooth. They're free floating.
Okay, I was gonna ask, are they wired? They're wireless.
They're wireless. Now, here is the weird thing. They show you a couple ways to play with it. First of all, you have it in your home console style, so it almost looks like this big black toaster that they stick it in, and then it plays on your TV. That really just seems to be a junction box to the cables that run your television or however you run it to your TV. And you have a normal Bluetooth controller or a normal radio controller that you can use, and it looks like things we've seen before.
Okay.
Or you want to go across the street, so you take it out of the sleeve, out of the toaster, and you can play the game on the go, no problem. And some pretty good-looking titles, but we're not talking next-generation graphics. We're not even talking Xbox One graphics.
Well, we're talking. Expect that. It's a Nintendo system. I mean,
well, this is the step forward, but there's also a step back, and I'll be more interested to see more about what the graphical capabilities are. They were showing some Mario amalgamation game. It looks just like one of the previous Marios, but a different level.
Okay.
There's a new Splatoon game.
Okay.
They're playing an NBA basketball game of some kind.
Okay.
And then
third party's good.
And then Skyrim, which sounds massive, but that game is 4 years old, 5 years old
at least. Yeah, I think it's 5 or 6 years old now.
So not exactly a step forward in graphical capabilities.
Was Skyrim 11/11/11.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember that. So 5
so
years.
We're almost at the 5-year anniversary.
Exactly 5 years.
So here's the interesting part about it. Now I have this on-the-go portable system.
Yeah.
And I want to play it sitting in a car. Okay, look down at the screen just like you would a regular Nintendo.
Not while you're driving.
Game Boy. Not while I'm a passenger in the vehicle. Let me be clear. And you want to play.
Yeah.
We can detach those controllers, and you use one almost like a mini regular 8-bit Nintendo system.
Okay.
And play on yours, and I play on mine, and we both play a Mario Kart game together.
Right.
Or you can set the screen up somewhere, play by yourself, and there's a little middle piece that you can attach those to and create a secondary controller.
Okay.
So you use both sides of the controller bits, the dongle, the pieces, the nunchucks that come off of it.
Yeah.
Reattach them to like a center band of some kind is what it looked like.
Okay.
And now you have somewhat of a more normal controller.
So you don't have to hold it like a Game Boy.
You don't have to hold it like a Game Boy. You can different comfort levels of. You could almost mount it on a wall.
Yeah.
You know, like, or I imagine you're on a bus. And you could sort of maybe attach it to the handle in front of you and sit in a better relaxed position with your spine straight.
Yeah.
Or I think there's a couple of great ways to use this, but I'm really confused about it.
I don't know. It's surprising to me. I mean, it's interesting that basically all the rumors that we've heard sounds like they're pretty much true. Mm-hmm. The whole idea. So you're saying it has almost like an iPhone charger port. iPod? The iPod dock. That's
but it's a bigger one.
It has a dock that it sits in to plug into your TV. Okay, so now you've got an extra piece that you've got. Say I want to bring it over and play it on your TV at your house. Now I've got to bring the console plus the dock.
That's what it seems like. That is the console.
And then when you're playing it as console mode, it has a separate controller from the little ones that come off the sides.
Or you can use the ones that come off the sides.
Okay.
But I figured those probably have a smaller battery life.
Yeah.
And so you'd probably want to use something that's a little more organic to living room play.
And say you're splitting those side controllers off to play 2-player, do both controllers have enough buttons to play 2-player games?
I can't tell, but they seem really scrawny. And what I was thinking is, this is the perfect system for someone in Japan.
Yeah.
This tiny thing that's on the go that you and your pal can have these tiny little controllers that you play your tiny little game in while you're waiting on the bus or the subway, the train to come and get you, and then you bring it back up. But here are the things that I don't understand about it. It does not appear to have graphical capabilities to be a next generation console or even compete.
Yeah.
It seems like it's the Wii U or maybe even worse in graphics. Is what I'm assuming with.
Yeah, I can't imagine they would go for less.
I
can understand it
not more.
Yeah.
The second thing is the battery life on this thing has to be terrible because you'll have 3 separate batteries, one for each controller.
Right.
and it's almost like a large iPhone or like a Galaxy Note. That's about as big as it is.
Not that big.
Not huge.
Okay, but that's okay because it's. I mean, that if you're using that screen, you're using it as a portable mode, and 3DS screen is not
that huge,
big either. So,
but here's the thing: you're missing out with a 3DS. One, it's not 3D.
2,
it's not even a touch screen.
Not a touch screen.
Not even a touch screen.
That's
now,
interesting.
what I imagine they're doing is they're getting rid of hardware that isn't useful for this type of plug-and-go game.
Yeah.
So, okay, how much deeper does the screen have to be for the 3D capabilities, which is huge?
Yeah.
Which actually takes it away from the quality of the video.
Yeah, I'm okay with them dropping 3D. That's always been a gimmick.
And then even the swiping, I think now with cell phones having that integral to almost everything you do, it seems like a no-brainer that you'd have that for some games.
Yeah, I mean, they've had touchscreens since the DS, which is 10 years ago at least, you know, on the Wii U. That's surprising that they wouldn't do a touchscreen. And, of course, this isn't coming out for another 7 months or whatever, so who knows, it might change, but that is definitely
there is some time for it. I don't think it's going to change anymore, but our understanding of it is. And what we posited before on our previous podcast, they are using what you might consider to be cartridges, but it looks more like little memory cards.
Sure, like the 3DS.
Like
or the
flash
DS,
card. Yeah. So
that's exciting.
Still,
I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. I like solid state for games, you know. Most, you know, PlayStation 4 these days, it's, you know, I'm more likely to buy it online and download it. Just because I personally don't like dealing optical discs. They're too easy to damage, and, you know, but I like little cards. They're, you know, toss them in your bag and you don't have to worry about it.
I'm just afraid, and again, this is something we talked about before, there's absolutely zero, like, let me show you my game collection.
Yeah.
And it's all rubber banded together.
That's
in a pile.
true, it's not something to show. You have to keep the boxes.
You have to keep the whole box.
I have the boxes displayed, yeah. So if they do like clamshells like they did for the DS, I think that'd be okay.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, little small clamshells. Which I have some. Actually, we can't see them where we're sitting now, but I do have some in my collection. I like their boxes, but hopefully they'll do that. I don't know. The big fear I have about this system, and I was actually thinking about this a couple of days ago, just as I was driving around, I was thinking about, am I going to get, well, at the time I was thinking, am I going to get an NX? I should say, am I going to get a Switch? Am I going to get a Switch? I'm not sure if I will. I don't know. I don't know. My concern is it's just a big compromise. It's always been my concern since we started hearing these rumors that it was going to be a mixture of console and at-home console and on-the-go console, handheld. It feels like they're going to be compromising, like I said, you know, screen quality, size, the graphical power, because to make it small enough and to make the battery life last long enough, you've got to dial all that back. Mm-hmm. But then the fact that it breaks apart and there's all these controller options, you've got to have a dock. It sounds like it's going to be annoying to use as a console at home too. I don't know.
Well, I think about what they're trying to go for in the market, and some people have said it's for the kids, and I don't think so. I think it has more to do with the people who aren't us right now this minute. Mm-hmm. For example, if you're in college, you're going to sling around your large game systems and your collections? Probably not.
Yeah.
But you'd be more interested in owning a Nintendo Mini. That's a little Nintendo that'll sit on the corner that everyone can say, ooh, nostalgia. Or you're going to be playing games on your phone. You're going to be playing games on your Game Boy. And it seems like this is the Game Boy system taken to the next level, the next step beyond where they've tried to go. And Nintendo's so good about innovation, I think this is part of that. And so you're a student in school and you want to play games on the go, this is what you take with you. I mean, even looking at you, 2-3 years down the road, you may be in a professional situation where you're doing a lot of traveling.
Right.
So you're going to slag a Nintendo console or Sega Genesis around with you, or
get up to the hotel.
Yeah, this is smaller than a tablet that can go with you anywhere, and you can play the new Legend of Zelda game, which is going to be on Wii U, but the Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. Imagine taking that with you on the go.
Right.
That is incredible.
And then when you get home, you can plug it in and put it on the big screen.
Put it on the big screen.
I don't know. From that perspective, I agree with what they're doing. It makes sense. So, I mean, Nintendo is the portable console market. Sony's tried their best to compete, and it's been a massive failure with the PSP and the Vita.
What about the N-Gage?
Granted, that was great.
Amazing.
But they caught fire. They were just like the notes. They just caught fire. No, Nintendo's dominated this market for forever. So the idea that they're going to double down and go just all in extreme to that market makes sense. And you're saying, well, it doesn't have high level graphic capabilities. I think Nintendo understands that there's no point in trying to compete with that, because at this point, there's a lot of what I've noticed is there's a lot of swing back towards PCs again.
Sure.
High-end PCs, because PlayStation and Xbox are basically becoming PCs now. They're not releasing new consoles. They're doing incremental updates, just like you'd update your PC at home.
Yeah, a lot of downloadable content that you get online anyways.
Exactly. So now you're saying, so if Nintendo came out and they said, we're going to have a home console that we're going to push the limits of graphics and we're going to compete with the big boys and have all the, Skyrim and everything, whatever, new Skyrim is on there. Okay, well, yeah, but they're competing with Sony, with Microsoft, if both of those stay in the business, which they might not, and PCs. So they're splitting that pie 4 ways. If they say, okay, we don't really care about pushing the boundaries of graphics, we're going to just make fun games that you can play on the go and with friends. Sony's not doing that. Microsoft's not doing that. I can't do that with my PC. You can sort of do it with your phone, but there's not a lot of multiplayer, like, hey, let's gather around my phone and play this game.
Not yet.
We might go that way, for sure. And
we're heading a little bit more that way. And part of what the Nintendo Switch is that they do already have a roster of some third-party developers. Not huge, and nothing that makes you feel incredibly comforted by what they're doing.
The only big one I heard was Ubisoft has said they'll support it.
Ubisoft? Marvel's a name in there, but Marvel's going to throw a game in anything. They've got puzzle games on Facebook.
They like money.
Yeah. So I think, as you said, it's going to corner the portable market as it's going to take over. It's going to eclipse the DS. Yeah. But the one thing that I think they're missing, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe they'll showcase that this does exist. If you don't even have that touch screen capability, they're going to miss on some few opportunities.
For sure.
Clearly, they're wanting the way they're doing the controllers to be a big asset, and I'll be interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, I thinking about it, I'm leaning towards I probably will get one, but I'm going to go into it knowing that I'm buying a new handheld console. I'm going to view it purely as that has the option of hooking it up to my TV, and not even think about it any other way.
Play it on the go.
Yep.
And we'll play Mario Kart on the smallest screen possible.
I'll drag out an old black and white CRT that I used to play Atari on, and we'll play that.
Oh, there is good news. If the video can be believed, King Boo is now a playable race kart character again.
Oh, good.
Hasn't been since maybe 7
a while
ago.
Yeah.
So
he was
King
always
Boo.
one of my favorite characters. Oh, good. Welcome back, Your Majesty. Alright guys, well I think that wraps it up. This has been episode 9 of the FoundryCast. Any parting thoughts, Cyrus?
We've got a lot of work ahead of us in the next few weeks, and a couple things that are going to be arriving both on the Foundry website and through our personal YouTube pages. I've got a video that I've just been waiting for the right time to upload, and because Halloween is just around the corner, now's a perfect time. I also have a really interesting blog coming up about dice.
Okay.
Doesn't sound as interesting, but I think it's going to be pretty hilarious.
I find dice interesting.
And I know you've got a lot of projects in the works, too.
Yeah, I've been playing around, doing some planning, like I talked about at the start of the episode. I've been messing around with Twitch as well, so I think I'm going to do some streaming, if nothing else, play around with that. Like I said, maybe do some little, just kind of relaxing let's play kind of deals. And then, moving forward, I've got a cosplay project that's going to be long-term. That I'm looking at maybe moving into, and then another building project I've talked about a lot. But one of those, or both of those, will be coming up soon, and then trying to write a little bit more and update the blog some more as well.
I think the biggest issue for us is going into the Christmas season is that we are going to be both very, very busy. Yeah. It's one of the busiest times of the year in the industries that we work. But at the same time, it's one of the best times for us to get back to crafting, building, creating, designing, recording, editing, because that can be our refuge when the family's not available.
Keep you sane, absolutely.
And so hopefully we can keep that momentum up and continue producing at a pretty positive speed. But it's been a fun last couple weeks, and we can't wait until the next episode.
Yep, so if you guys want to tune in next time, we're coming up quickly on, like Cyrus said, Halloween. So next episode is going to be our Halloween episode. Join us for that spooky, ooky, dookie show.
Creepy.
I just said dookie.
It's okay. It's alright, we'll forgive you. But as always, I am the silver arrow that you have to defeat Ganon.
And I'm Sloth. Hey, you guys.
And we'll see you next time on the FoundryCast.
Good night, everybody.
Baby Ruth. Where do you lie on Kramer versus Kramer?
Okay, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say Kramer.
You SOB.
Yeah,
seriously? How can you not side with Kramer?
Jerry, I got a great idea! That was a really bad Kramer impression.
But I knew where you were. You committed to the character.
That was more of a Doc Brown impression. Great Scott! Great Scott! Jerry! We've got to go back in time to get to the Chinese restaurant to wait